What's up, everybody? This is your girl, Chelsea. I go by model Chelsea Talise in the fashion industry, 502. Stand up. Louisville, Kentucky is where I'm from. I'm also a LPCA or a mental health therapist licensed in the state of Kentucky. And we are here today on Beauty and Brains podcast, Cognitions of the Creatives. This is season 3, episode 5, Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, which takes place in September. I have one of my good model friends here, Raynia Goodman, who is also a model, a culinary arts graduate, and a poet. So welcome, Raynia. Super happy to have you on. I know time is of the essence, so I appreciate your time and coming on here today. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, I want to first thank you for just allowing me to be on this platform with you.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I am Raynia Goodman. I am a 21-year-old psychology student at the University of Louisville, and
Yes.
I'm a poet and I'm a model, and I am just all about mental health awareness.
Oh, wait a minute, Miss Mel. You told me about being in culinary arts, but you ain't say nothing about being a student in psychology.
Yes, hey, I am a woman of all trades.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm not just sticking to one thing.
Yes, I love that so much. Well, awesome. Congratulations on your new degree to come. How much longer do you have in school?
Only a good 4 more years.
Okay. We just started, huh?
Yes.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. It'll fly by. It'll fly by. Well, awesome. I'm super happy to have you again. So I'm glad now to know that you also have a background in psychology. So I'm excited to see how much we can tackle this huge and heavy weighing topic of suicide and suicide prevention. I feel like we're kind of around the same age. I might have you by a couple years. But since we've been in like elementary and middle school, that was back for me, what, in 2000? Yeah, I'll just keep it there, 2000. Suicide rates have increased tremendously, unfortunately, and specifically in those age populations, within the school ages. And it's really heartbreaking. But just to kind of broaden it back up on suicide in general, we're just going to go ahead and step into it. And so, when talking about such a controversial topic, such as suicide, I think so many people have their definitions of it, their meanings, their reasonings of why it happens. And I don't believe that everybody has all of the answers. I think it's an ongoing topic and it's very complex. So with all of that being said, can you like describe your understanding of suicide?
I feel like my understanding of it is it's a deep emotional pain, but it's also a feeling of hopelessness. It's a mental health crisis, but it's someone feeling so overwhelmed to the point to where they can't see themselves moving forward any longer.
Yeah. Wow. A deep emotional pain. I agree with that. And I think that the deep emotional pain is one that only those who experience, suicidal behaviors, such as suicidal ideations, or um, attempts, or even self-harm
Yes.
with that attempt, that's a deep emotional pain that only those who experience that know what that means or what that feels like. And so I think that's where the controversy comes up, is that if you haven't experienced this, you don't know exactly the value of that deep emotional pain that this person is experiencing. And unfortunately, I feel like sometimes empathy goes out the door, because then people are labeled as selfish, right? That's like the number one thing that I hear. And we're forgetting that, like you said, this is a crisis and someone is going through something that they can't see the light out of, right? Meaning that they have no resources. It's almost like like in the movies where you're like in the forest or something, and you're on one side of the river or body of water that's flowing down, and then there's a whole other side, and there's like a walking bridge, that goes through it. And if the ropes get snipped, right, so there's no way to get across anymore, right? Like, this is how I'm trying to paint a picture for those who have a hard time understanding people who struggle with suicidal ideation or who have died by suicide, because it truly does for them feel like there is no way out, or there is no
Yeah, like
other
they're
way
trapped in
out.
a box.
Yes, yes, absolutely. There's no resources, there's no one that can help. No one understands me, and though, like you said, those feelings of helplessness and depression go hand in hand, right? So I think that
Mm-hmm.
that is definitely a trigger to someone becoming suicidal, due to the heaviness of depression. And at this point, we're talking about chemical imbalances.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I really think that you spoke on that very well, on what suicide looks like, or a good understanding of suicide. I'm trying to think of if there's anything I can add as far as how I understand suicide. But you really explained that really well. I want to say too that typically people who are suicidal have dealt with this for longer than the time that we've known about it, right? So if someone
Mm-hmm.
is telling us, or if we find out, that there's been an attempt, or there's, ideations, it takes a lot of courage, to actually tell someone that you are experiencing suicidal ideations because of the stigma, that comes with suicide. Is there anything you would like to speak on as far as the stigma of suicide?
Yes. And like you said, when, from my personal experience, I've experienced suicidal ideation, and to this day, I still do.
Mm,
But it does get hard to tell people because you never know how they're going to react. Some
yeah.
people are more understanding, and then some people they'll get angry at you, or they
Mm,
might
mm-hmm.
push a religious belief and
Mm,
possibly make you feel worse. And so it is kind of hard with that stigma to come out to people and say,
yeah.
hey, this is what I'm dealing with. And like I said, it really builds up over time because I really think
Mm-hmm.
it starts
Mm-hmm.
with that thought. And then
Yeah.
that thought might turn into something deeper, into something to which you can't even control how you feel at that point because it's built up so much. And,
Mm,
about time you tell somebody, it's kind of hard to navigate getting back to like just calming down and taking
mm,
yourself back.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing your personal experience of suicidal ideation. Honestly, I think it is more prevalent than we think. Um, and especially during these times, let's be for real.
Mhm.
Like, it's hard out here.
It is. It really is.
I mean, just to not go into politics or socioeconomic statuses, and just to sum it up, it's hard out here. Everybody's lives is different. We all have a different load to carry, but everyone is carrying something, and for you to say, like, how it builds over time, and it's just initially that thought. And I think as soon as we get that thought, that's when we could probably put connections together on maybe we are feeling depressed, right? Like, those are the beginning stages of feeling depressed. And the thing is about the mind, if we have a thought and we keep these thoughts going and they're repetitive and they're persistent, eventually those thoughts turn into beliefs.
Yes.
And when you believe those things, it is very hard. How hard is it for someone to change your beliefs and what you believe in?
It's hard. You're gonna have to convince me really good.
Yeah, you'll have to convince, like, and you spoke on religion, so I'm gonna just make that an example right now. Regardless if I'm just gonna throw out the first ones that come to mind. If you're Jewish and I'm Buddhist, I can't tell you that my God is better than yours, and you can't tell me that your God is better than mine. Because
Right.
that's our belief that our God is the most high, or whatever you label your entity. But coming back down to a clinical level psychology, when you believe something about yourself, that takes work to counteract. That takes work to bounce back to what you thought before the belief actually was instilled. And so when you say it takes time to build that, and then the second layer of those who we may feel comfortable with speaking to these things about, who have religious beliefs, and they damn near shun you, on because that's their belief, right?
Yep. Yes.
It goes against what they believe, and so they feel offended that we are in a crisis.
Yes.
I mean, that's insane to me.
And to me, it just doesn't help. I've had a personal experience with somebody pushing like their religion on me, and I just felt like it just wasn't fair. It was like my feelings wasn't considered. So it's like if you push something on someone and you're kind of like, I feel like the word for it is like, it just kind of feels like dismissive, like you just saying, no, don't believe that, believe this. And it's just, it's so hard.
It's very dismissive because we are now replacing the presenting problem, right, of somebody admitting that they're having suicidal ideations or that they have attempted suicide. And so we are putting the presenting problem on the back burner and throwing God in the lap. And don't get me wrong, I love God. I'm a believer. I have a relationship with God. However, I do feel that there's a time and place, right? Because if sure, we can uplift one another with scripture, we can pray, we can meditate with one another, but how are we tending to the crisis?
Right.
How are we tending to the crisis? If you are severely depressed, we all know you are experiencing a decreased interest of previous things that used to make you happy, that you used to care about. And if religion was one of those things, bringing up God, unfortunately, won't be the answer to helping someone who is experiencing suicidal behavior or ideation.
Yeah.
This is my opinion. This is my opinion. I ain't trying to preach to nobody.
Yeah, but no, I definitely agree.
Strictly my opinion. But with religion coming into the conversation, I've done trainings around suicidal prevention, suicidal awareness, all the things, and religion comes up often, like cultural beliefs comes up often on, hindrances to someone becoming what's the word I'm looking for? Hindrances to anyone being receptive to that type of intervention, right? Like for anyone who has a religious belief or background, that also takes up space in their minds when considering suicide.
Yes.
Right? Because also, if we're talking about suicide, the people who struggle with this are thinking about the afterlife. Or what else is there for me? This can't be it. I don't want to be here. I want out. Right? Like what does that look like? And so spirituality is something that is very much connected to um suicide, and I think that that's something that we could continuously work on as a community, when talking about this topic. So I'm thankful that you kind of hit on that a little bit. Next, I want to kind of shift into our professions of the fashion industry, cosmetics, commercial design, however you want to view it. Um, do you do acting as well?
No, not yet. I mean,
Okay.
I've done a little bit, but I'm trying to get more into commercial work.
Okay. I can see that. I can see that. All right. So when we think about our industry, how do you feel that suicidal behavior shows up?
Mm. Well, I feel like for our profession, it's based on looks. That's what it is. And so, there is a time where I feel like every model has went through some type of comparison or some type of we caring about what we look like, or we see people who look a certain way and we might want to look, like that or as well. And I just feel like that's one of the things that really drags a person down and can make them feel hopeless. It's, oh, why don't I look like that? Why ain't I fit like this? And it drags a person down to be in their mind and eventually probably start hating themselves.
Wow.
And start showing up as, I don't think I look beautiful. I hate myself, or I hate the way I look, or something like that. So with it being, like I said, about looks, it can be cutthroat on the mental.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. What's the saying? Comparison is the thief of joy. And
Yes.
that's on all levels, and as a model myself, I can say I'm guilty of it, like there are many beautiful models in general in this world, and so you do have to have that self-confidence and that love within oneself, because this industry is a beast. This
Oh yeah, and you're not gonna pick for everything. Sorry to
No,
cut you off,
no,
but
no,
you
you're
ain't gonna
good.
get picked for everything. And so, to see somebody get picked for something and just to know you're not the look for everything, sometimes it does get in the mind like, oh, am I not good enough? Why ain't I booking this? And you just really cannot let that get to you in your core.
Yeah, I agree. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the first question on, that initial thought, like that initial rejection. And really, I feel like rejections can come back to back, in this industry. And if we are internalizing the rejections as much as we're getting them and in between, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how that initial thought is being fed, because we're not taking everything at face value. We're taking it deeper than, maybe we just weren't who they were looking for, not necessarily modeling ain't for me, right? And so we're kind of like altering our whole worldview because of rejection, and now we're teeter-tottering into self-hatred, which is teeter-tottering into self-harm, right? I mean, self-harm in the model industry, it's major. It's major. Whatever that looks like. I consider, even eating disorders a form of passive self-harm, or if you're purging, that could be a active form of self-harm, but the strict diets, and the overworking, when you know that your body is exhausted, you're in pain, and constantly keeping up with the grind. Addiction is something that can be attached to this as well, as far as being in the industry and dealing with suicidal behavior, suicidal ideation, drugs and alcohol, I feel are things that play a role in that as well. Did you want to speak on that?
Yeah, I mean, even just like in these after parties that they might hold, they might have alcohol or just anything that might, and then it's like you also have to consider the people that you work with as well, like seeing if they have your good intentions and stuff like that, and just being aware, and then not just being susceptible to taking anything just because this person might seem a certain way.
That's real good. That's real good. I mean, as much as I hate to say this, everybody ain't your friend in the industry.
Yes.
You know, like it hurts my feelings to say that because
yeah.
if you know me, you know I'm sociable.
You are given sisterhood. You know, I look at you like
Thank
a big
you.
sister. Like, you know, it never gave hater. You know, and that's sometimes what I hate as well, is because you really do have to watch out for people who might not have your best interest. Like, you might get picked for some, but she might not get picked for some. Now she don't like you because you got picked, and the whole time, sometimes it's like, you know, sometimes they just don't want somebody who looks like this, or they might want you next year. You know, it's tough.
It is. It is tough. And once again, I'm gonna say this every episode, y'all, community is coming up. We're breaking off into the importance of knowing your community within your industry. Don't get me wrong, there is a screening process, right? Of like building your community and knowing keep it playing, who you can fuck with and who you can't, right? Like who got your back, who really has your best interest at heart, and like you said, who's a hater. I mean, I love speaking positivity, but we also got to speak the real. A lot of suicidal behavior and ideation is due to not having a supportive community or one who doesn't know how to be supportive, right? Like mental health is fairly new. The whole um even the verbiage die by suicide, right? Some people just used to say they killed themselves or they committed suicide, you know, and so we're constantly evolving in the mental health field, but all of this is new, like within the last, for us, like 30 years, I would say, as long as we've been here. Louisville health is, I said Louisville health, mental health is just really emerging, you know? And so a lot of times, people who are experiencing suicidal ideations and behaviors, there's a lack of knowledge of how the mind even works, you know, and a lack of resources to help get your mind back on track. Sometimes you need medication, sometimes you don't. You know, sometimes you need to get out of a toxic relationship. Sometimes you have lost your job, you know, and you have a mouth to feed. Like it really, to me, I feel like going back to the first question, my understanding of suicide would be the straw that broke the camel's back, right? Because we just have so many things that's going on, and this is the last straw. Like I can't deal with it. All my plate is overfull. I have too many things to tend to. My mind is too active to the point where I just want to shut it down.
Yeah.
Have
I
empathy for
definitely want to
people.
add something. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to talk about, you made a good point where you was just talking about medicine. I think that has a big stigma around it as well. When I first started taking medicine, I didn't like it because I felt like it just made me different from everybody else. It made me feel like I was alone, or like, why do I need to take this? This doesn't make me, I'm just not like everybody else. And, you know, it really took me for people to say, like, if somebody got to take medicine for blood pressure because they need it, they would take it. Nobody would look at them any different. And so, you know, my understanding, or just more so like my acceptance of it over the years, have just really changed, because at the end of the day, if you need something, you shouldn't be ashamed to, you know, need it. You need to utilize it while it's here, because, you know, medicine is just a great way to just positively affect our health. And so, when you're taking your medicine and you're keeping up, you're loving yourself. You're showing yourself that self-care of, okay, I need this. And it doesn't make me any different from anybody else who had to take vitamins or anything else. You can think of it as a vitamin because, it's helping your brain.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make anybody any different.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I love that example or comparison. You said a family member told you that?
We had a social worker. She just always encouraged me. It was like when I was younger, I just felt like I felt so different from everyone else. And like I said, over the years, it just really took me to understand that it's okay to need help. You're not weak. You're not alone. There's a lot of people who need help. And we're human beings. Like, it's okay to have that handout that's going to positively affect who you are. Like, you're not missing anything.
Yeah, I agree. And the comparison of, or not even the comparison, to me, it was a statement that your physical health is just as important as your mental health. And you deserve to be healthy in both of those dimensions, whatever that looks like, especially if the resources are there, right? Like you said, if they are there, use them while they're here. Also, I just want to speak on like psych meds. If we are taking these medications to typically help us with a chemical imbalance, that's usually when medications have to come in, is due to chemical balance. It is necessary to take your medication if your coping skills are no longer working for you, or if therapeutic intervention is no longer working for you, because we can't come up with new coping skills or reevaluate the type of self-help that we can do if there's a chemical imbalance. You probably are going to struggle to make up new coping skills with a chemical imbalance. You will probably lack a care of creating new coping skills or self-care routines because there's a chemical imbalance. There's a lack of interest. That depression that we were talking about, you don't care about no coping skills. Raynia, talk to me. You don't care about coping skills.
Yeah, when you're depressed, everything literally goes out the window. Like, nothing at that point. Like, when you're depressed, it's like you're in that box. It's like you're drowning in the ocean. So, like, I can try to count to 3 and I can try to take a walk, but it's like you're deep down in there. And so it really ain't nothing wrong with having like that extra hand to like level out your imbalance and stuff.
Yeah, and then when we're balanced, we gain all of that back, even your energy, right? Because it's draining to be depressed. It is draining. I mean, exhausting. And it's almost like you live in your mind.
Yes.
That's the best way I can put it. You live in your mind. You witness all the things around you that need to be done, right, on your behalf.
Yeah.
And maybe you just take a nap instead. Or maybe you just, I don't know, find some food. Typically, it won't get cooked. This is the level of depression I'm talking about. The room is a mess, right? Our environments, our personal environments mimic our mental status or mimic our mental obstacles or our mental, I want to use a different word than status. I'll keep it there for now, but it mimic our personal environment mimics what we are going through in our minds, whether that's good or bad. However, if you walk into somebody's house and you see that their home has clothes everywhere, dishes in the sink, I don't know, tub hasn't been cleaned out, I wouldn't be so quick to hop on that this person is dirty or lazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be lazy, but
I mean, there is, but I mean, there's a lot more to consider. Like, what are they really going through? And then it's like you got to look at their behavior and stuff. And not a lot of people. Some people don't even know that they're depressed. They're just living. It's hard to get up. It's hard to wash their bodies. It's hard to do the things that are so simple in life. So it's like you really gotta just be that person where it's like see it for what it is and what it could be.
Yeah, I agree. And that goes back to what you were saying, how it just builds up over time. Like, you don't just wake up depressed. This is something that gradually builds until you feel like you are in the darkness and you are feeling those senses of hopelessness and helplessness and worthlessness, all of those what is it, like permanence, that you can call it, as far as how you feel about yourself and the world, who can help you, and no one can, type of thing. It takes a while to get there. However, when you are there, the chances of you experiencing suicidal ideation or behavior has increased.
Yeah.
So, community, please, 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 be in tune with your people. Be in tune with your people. Like you said, you have to speculate in every area. If this is somebody who typically, has a messy bedroom or whatever, then we might not think of it too much. But if this is someone who is typically organized and, was labeled a neat freak at some point in time, and, very prompt on how they show up to places, and now they show up late, and now they are showing up with bed hair, and their home is a mess, like, that is worth looking into and asking somebody, like, you good? Like, what? I see that, maybe you need some help around the house. Like, are you struggling to, like, get in there, y'all. If this is your community, like, get in there. We cannot be scared to tap into someone who we believe is experiencing suicidal ideation or behavior, thinking that we're going to make them do it. I think that is one of the major fears that come around suicidal talk, is feeling like if we talk about it, then they're going to do it. That is a big decision. That is a big decision. That is not something you can talk someone into doing. Now, talking them out of it, I kind of got my hand, going back and forth. I don't know. It might be that verbiage of talking someone out of it. But at the end of the day, for people who are community to people who are experiencing suicidal behavior, they need professional help. They need professional intervention. They need to be assessed, right? They need a safety plan.
Yes.
A lot of talking, it may make them feel loved and cared for in that moment, right? But if we're talking about depression that has been brewing for years, this is deeper than us, right? It's above us.
Yes.
However, having the conversation around suicide with someone who is thinking about it, that does help them have a sense of understanding. Even if you disagree with it, it's not the time to blaze them on whether this is right or wrong. Okay?
Right.
We're not talking about morals. We're talking about beliefs here, not religious ones. Self-beliefs, deep rooted. So if this person believes that they shouldn't be here anymore, it is our responsibility to understand why, so that we can provide resources immediately. I'm not saying just, be a listening ear and try not to step on any toes and walk on eggshells. No, like I said, get in there and then come up with a plan. whether you sending them to the hospital, whether y'all doing a safety plan and then figuring out a psychiatrist that they can get in touch with to be assessed, whatever that looks like, a safety plan and resources and understanding are always needed if someone is reporting to be experiencing suicidal behavior or ideation or an attempt. Even if it's already happened, it's never too late to still implement resources and understanding and empathy. My God, empathy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna get off my soapbox about that one before we move on to the last question. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I just want to say, like, be kind and understanding. Like, even if you can't comprehend it, somebody just needs that space. Like, even if you can't give them that professional help because maybe you're not a professional, like, still, like, being in that person's community, knowing that they can go and talk to you. I think that's the biggest thing, because if you're talking to somebody and they just dismiss you, then it's like, I can't go to you. I might not have anybody but this professional person. And so I feel like what you said, community needs to come through as well, because I feel like professional help, but also community could play a big part in, like, really positively affect somebody, because you might not be able to see your therapist or whatever until next week, but to have somebody there who's not going to judge you, they might not understand everything, but it's the fact that they're giving effort feels way better than anything. So yeah, just being kind and really just understanding, even if you don't understand at that point.
Absolutely. Effort. Oh, effort. That is such a gem. That is such a gem. Just trying to understand, and don't get me wrong, community people, it is hard to hear this information from someone you love. It is very, very hard to learn that someone you love is experiencing this. However, I just want to encourage you all to not take it personal. Typically, if someone is experiencing suicidal ideation, it is a plethora of things. And typically, if they are telling you that they're struggling with this, you are not the reason. I'm saying typically, you are not the reason. So I just want to encourage our community out here to not be offended if someone expresses to you that they are experiencing suicidal ideations, behaviors, or have attempted it. Do not feel offended. It's not about you. It's not about you, and your loved one needs your help. Share that it does hurt your feelings. Get that out the way. That it hurts you to hear this, right? Like you value this person's life. You value, but then go deeper and come up with a plan, because we can't talk about emotions to someone who's deeply depressed for too long. That'll piss them off.
At that point, they're numb.
That we only have a window, right, of attention span due to the chemical imbalance. So if someone is open enough and in that emotional wave, to be able to let you know what they are experiencing, be receptive of that, be supportive, and don't be offended. um Lastly, I do want to touch on a little bit more about those who have attempted suicide and were unsuccessful. um I just want to shine a light on how there could be two different outcomes, as far as worldview for those who have been unsuccessful with suicide. Some may feel that, this is their chance to figure it out. And the others may be upset that they're still here, right? I, I've even seen it, in a clinical setting where these people feel that, damn, I couldn't even do that. I couldn't even do that right. Like I couldn't even successfully end my life. So that is something that re-triggers someone who deals with suicide, because it goes back to those self-beliefs, right? Of whatever that looks like. But typically it's something along the lines of can't. I can't. I'm not able. I don't have the capacity. I don't have the ability, right? So if there was a attempt and it was unsuccessful, there could possibly be some negative feelings associated with it. So I just wanted to share that with community as well. If you all ever experience someone who has attempted and it doesn't necessarily turn out to align with your beliefs, right? On thinking that, well, you got a second chance, at life. You have a second chance to find your purpose. Everyone doesn't believe that way. Some of them feel that it's another failure. So I'm just throwing that out there as far as like my clinical views, things that I've seen um, within the therapeutic room, just to make you all aware of what that looks like for people who deal with these type of things. Um, and so for our last statement question, I just wanted you to share some encouraging words to those who have attempted suicide and were unsuccessful.
I would say to anybody who has like survived an attempt, I want them to know that they might not see it, they might not feel it, but their life has meaning and purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And as a suicide survivor, I know what it feels like to still be here, even though you didn't want to be, you tried not to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I want them to know that just because they made that decision, that does not make it a stain on their life, like they just messed up badly. I want them to know that healing takes time, and there's still so much time in the day, in the year, in the month to still become who you want to become. You might have lost yourself, but it's really a chance to build yourself up. It doesn't matter if it takes like a week or years. You should enjoy just the time. And like I said, they won't see it right then and there, but it's a blessing to wake up, and as long as you heal, you keep being accepting towards yourself, you'll see that it's a blessing to just keep moving forward.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. I agree. I believe we all have purpose. And so I think that's something worth working on, speaking to our community again, how we can show up in a way where we are showing empathy and we are being understanding, but also instilling life into those who are struggling, whatever that looks like. And I think you did a very good job explaining that we have time, right? We have time, like as much time as it took to get here, to get to an attempt, and then still be able to open your eyes and speak words out of your mouth the next day. That is a miracle. That is a miracle. And I'm always privileged to be in the same spaces such as people like you, Raynia. It's amazing to hear stories like this. So I thank you for sharing. Um, Whoever's listening, if you're struggling with suicidal ideation, if you're struggling with suicidal behavior, if you've had an attempt, it may be hard to hear, but you do have purpose. You do have purpose. It's okay to not know what that purpose is right now.
Yes.
Not everybody knows. Not everybody knows, but that too is a journey. It's a journey to find your purpose, and it's so rewarding. And it's so rewarding. And my prayer is that you all become excited about finding your purpose, or you become motivated to finding your purpose, and you have the community to hold you accountable on staying motivated and in fulfilling your purpose, whatever that looks like. Whatever that looks like.
I just thank you for allowing me to be able to talk, and I'm just blessed to be able to just speak from my personal experience. I enjoyed this.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I enjoyed it a whole lot. I'm so glad you came on again. I know that time is of the essence and we've been trying for a while. So I appreciate you being patient, and really coming on here to talk about such a heavy topic. This is something that needs to be done, and I really appreciate you coming on and not only answering the questions but sharing your personal experience. Um, it was very moving for me, and I really enjoyed the show. So I thank you so much for coming on. We are wrapping up, y'all. This is Beauty and Brains, Season 3, Episode 5, Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, which takes place in September. This is your girl, Chelsea. I go by model Chelsea Talese. Please stay tuned because we are not done. Peace, y'all.